Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co-host, Noor, Zainab, and we are back on this Wednesday to break down a full slate of NBA games. We got a ton to get to. I counted 11. There's going to be a lot of interesting matchups towards the end of the night. How you doing, Noor? I saw the frustration in your eyes when I entered this, broadcast room because, it was not a good night for you, and you might have had one of the worst picks all season. Sorry, I'm putting it out there. You bet against the Nets. You took the Magic, and we saw Kyrie drop a 60-piece.
You know what, Luca? Right off the bat, I'm telling Patrick, our producer, what a beautiful day. Not one person can let me down. And right as we start the show, Luca just comes out with the swords at my heart. Yeah, I had a terrible night, and I know you had a perfect night. So thanks for rubbing that in. I did go with the Magic against the Nets, and I'm just surprised and happy and thankful and grateful to still have a job this morning. Thanks to everybody who still wants to hear from me. But I thought it was a sleeper pick. I thought I was doing something. I thought it was the mad scientist vibes that I was going for. Magic had a pretty decent record up until that point, but who would have thought that Kyrie Irving would be dropping 40 points in the first half? He could have easily gone for Kobe's record last night, Luca. And I know they rested him, but in my head, I'm like, that's a part-time employee. You don't need to rest him. He can go off for as much as he wants to. And he ended with 60 last night. Any thoughts on that? You won that one. Good job, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy how these NBA players are putting up 60 so seamlessly. And we were talking about this off air. Is there going to be a player to break Kobe Bryant's record or secondary record? Obviously, the record is Will Chamberlain. I think we will see it. Somebody past Kobe Bryant. Like we saw Devin Booker. What do you have? Like 72 a couple years back. So that was the closest to Kobe ever. But in terms of like 100, I was saying this off air again, I don't see anybody ever breaking it just because teams are so lax, I guess, and they're so conservative with their players where, if a guy like Kyrie is having an incredible night, it usually means his team is dominating the other team. So there's no need to play them in the third or late in the fourth quarter. So it would have to take a very crazy game where we see multiple overtimes and it is a close game with one guy getting hot. But just going back to Kyrie's 60-piece, it's incredible how he's not even a full-time player, but he looks so in tune this season. He looks up to par. His game has been so great to watch. He's so fluent with the basketball, showing no signs of slowing down. And that just tells you how dangerous of a team Brooklyn is going to be once Kyrie is allowed to be playing in home games. You mix that with his road games that we've seen, and if he becomes a full-time player, which is inevitable at this point with the mandates getting a little bit more or less strict, the Nets are very dangerous right now as an 8 seed. You're going to be a top seed like Miami, and you're going to be saying to yourself, oh, we have the number 1 seed, and then what's your prize going to be? You're going to be taking on the Brooklyn Nets at the first round if things stand the way that they are right now. But all in all, it was a quick night in the NBA, 4 games. I did go 4-0, like you alluded to. Upset, though, because the one night I didn't bet, I go 4-0, but that Kyrie 60-piece stole the spotlight. I mean, the other games were pretty out of reach. The Suns blew out the Pelicans. We saw another blowout, with the Grizzlies destroying the Pacers. So it was a very one-sided night. Last night, perfect example. If you got the teams right, you would have cruised to an easy winnings.
Yeah, and that's also why I think the NBA needs a proper scheduler in their midst, because what kind of league has a 4-game night and then you jump to an 11, 12-game night the next night? Like, we're people, we have voices. Can you at least just, stagger it normally? But yeah, you mentioned it. You went 4-0, and I split that at 2-4 last night with the Suns, thankfully helping me out. And then the Pistons. They did not win, but they did cover the spread against the Heat. And that was kind of what I was going for with the Magic. I just thought the basement dwellers don't give a shit anymore, but that was completely wrong. But tonight, as you mentioned, we do have a massive, massive game. We have a massive spread with 12 games happening. And the first one being in the Eastern Conference between the Atlanta Hawks and the Charlotte Hornets. Super little spread here, money line kind of thing at -1. Who do you have for this one, Luca?
So close. This is a pick-em matchup. Atlanta, Charlotte, 2 teams trying to get into the top 8, 2 teams trying to still try to get out of the play-in, although I don't think that's going to happen. But we could see this is a potential preview of a play-in game, right? Right
Yeah.
now, you look at Charlotte and Atlanta, where they're situated in the Eastern Conference standings. This could be a preview. Very interesting game, very close game. You look at both teams. John Collins, finger injury, he'll be out. Gordon Hayward will be out with an ankle injury for Charlotte. This game is going to come down to defense, in my opinion. And you look at Atlanta, they've been allowing 115.7 points per game over their last 3 games, which isn't good. But then if you compare it to what Charlotte's been giving up, it actually looks decent, because Charlotte's given up 120.8 points in their previous 4 games. Like, they can't stop anybody. And you got a guy in Trae Young who can take over and go off for a 50-piece easily if he wanted to. I think Atlanta's going to show up here. I think they will get this win on the road. So expect a lot of offense in this one. Take the over, but Atlanta will prevail against Charlotte.
Yeah, I actually think this will come down to Atlanta's offense that they love a lot and so much, right? Every single game you see the Hawks, they are just throwing shots up and they're all going in, and they always go over the over because they love their offense. And I do think that this is kind of maybe a low spread because of that reason, because the Hawks love to jack that shot up, and because the Hornets are just not that great when it comes to defense. As you mentioned, they are 25th when it comes to when it comes to defending that. So I'm not sure that they would have what it takes to go up against, like you mentioned, the likes of Trae Young, who just dropped 46 the other night. And this is someone who can drop 46, 50, and he does not make the headlines anymore. That's just what you expect out of Trae Young. It's like, okay, 40, 50 pointer from him, typical Trae Young night. And that's insane. That's crazy for a guy, not just for his size, but for what he's been able to do with this Hawks team. And that's what makes them so scary just on the offensive glass, because they can do so much, not just with the pieces that are around Trae Young, but Trae Young alone. 46 is nuts. And yeah, like I said, they always exceed the over. Their offense is super successful with everyone around them. And even with John Collins in and out, they still have people around Trae Young that do contribute. And Charlotte has been a pretty good team recently, but they have been a good team against bad teams. They were schooled by good teams by losing to the Celtics and the Bucks recently. They rank number 2 in the NBA with their offense, and they're going up against, the Hawks rank number 2 in the NBA with their offense, and they're going up against the Charlotte's defense that's only 25. So I'm going to go with the Hawks here. I think Trae Young, again, should have a quietly really good night, and he will be the best shooter on the floor. So give me the Hawks.
Okay, we agree through one. Next game, we got Denver taking on Washington. Denver is a 6.5-point favorite here. So who do you like in the spot?
After what Jokic did to Embiid in Philadelphia, I think the spread is nothing. Wizards just lost to the tanking Blazers right before letting the Lakers get a win on them, even with Kuz and Caldwell playing pretty well recently. And more to that, Washington just has no answer for Jokic. There's not one person on the roster that I can look at and be like, okay, maybe he'll give Jokic a shot. Like Porzingis, he's missed a month already, and there's no way, let me put this as politely as I can, that his build would go up against Jokic's build. This is not going to work out. This is going to be an easy Nuggets win, and I expect Jokic to be the best player on the floor again and secure and continue that MVP narrative for himself. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. Denver, they're going to cover the spread. They're going to win this game. I'd be surprised if neither of those things happen. And you look at the Nuggets, they're playing some of their best ball of the season right now. They've actually been winning in the favorite role by an average of 5.7 points. So that's just around what the spread is at. So the odds makers definitely knew about that going into making that spread. But you look at the Wizards, they're allowing 51.9% shooting their last 5 games, and they're losing by an average of 6.4 points during that span. So again, that's a reflection of this spread. The Wizards, how are they going to stop Jokic? You already mentioned it. Down low, I expect Jokic to just do everything right in this game. The Nuggets are going to be amped too. I saw today that Jamal Murray's been assigned to the G League, so he's close to a return. Wow. The Nuggets look very good right now. They're going to be adding some much-needed help with Murray and Michael Porter Jr., so there's a lot of things to be happy about and optimistic about if you're a Nuggets fan. And I think they're going to take this opportunity to get a huge win and boost their stance in the Western Conference standings. So yeah, give me the Nuggets.
The Western Conference is so scary. They just need 2, 3 players to get healthier and just watch that conference take off. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference, where we have so many great matchups tonight, and one of them being the Philadelphia 76ers taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers, where Philly is favored by -2.5. The battle of two tall teams. Luca, who do you got in this one?
Well, I'm surprised the spread is as low as it is for the 76ers. Jared Allen is still out, and good luck trying to guard Joel Embiid. I know they still got Evan Mobley, but that's going to be a big ask for rookie Evan Mobley to go up against one of the best centers in all of the NBA. And you look at the Sixers, they've bounced back nicely following losses this season. They're 17-8 following a loss. And they've also played really well on the road, which, again, I'm very surprised they are a slight favorite here. And the spread isn't a bit bigger. They're 22-11 straight up. So I know Cleveland, they've done a lot of good things this season, but we talk about them falling back a bit since the All-Star break. I like Philadelphia in the spot to bounce back. I think this is a game they're going to take seriously, and we're going to see Embiid and Harden have a really good game as a duo. So yeah, give me Philly -2.5.
Yeah, I think Philly had a couple harsh critics after that performance against the Nets where Harden just did not show up, but it's still a really good Philadelphia team that was on fire right before that matchup, and that has proven that those two together, that duo of Embiid and Harden, is a pretty unbeatable duo any other given night, right? And Philly did lose a little bit of defense in that trade in exchange for adding offense. And Harden and Cleveland, like you mentioned, will not have Allen tonight. And they also will have Wade out, which does not help their defensive woes. And both teams, that means, will be relying a lot on offense tonight. So if we're talking offense, I'm going to take the crazy duo in Philly, obviously. Not having Jared Allen is massive and losing and not only just the offensive production, but also having another body that you can throw at Embiid. And Harden on the perimeter, if Embiid is doubled, would be the perfect recipe against this Cavs team, just like it has been working against so many other teams in the NBA. And I think Allen would have been the final touch Cleveland would have needed against Embiid, but because Mobley just can't do it alone. So yeah, we're going to agree on this one too. 3 for 3. Give me Sixers.
Yeah, it's going to be tough down low to try to stop MVP candidate Joel Embiid. Next game, this is going to be a fun one of my favorite matchups of the night. We got Dallas coming into Brooklyn as a 3-point favorite. They're probably the favorite here because no Kyrie.
Yeah, oh my goodness. This is crazy. I still honestly have no idea what's going to happen in this one. It just tells you how good of a matchup it's going to be, you know, having Luca and KD just going head to head. And like you mentioned, we're not going to see any Kyrie tonight because this is going to be in Brooklyn, and he did drop 60 last night. So, you know, he's capable of so much more. But that also means that KD had a night off on the court. So he could go off as much as he wants to tonight. But I do think that Luca is the one guy who will always be ready and just good to go on fire, no matter who it is, no matter who he goes up against. They are number one in scoring defense, and their offense when Dinwiddie and Luca together has just been crazy. And for Nets, Aldridge is also out for them right now, and Curry is listed as day-to-day, which I'm going to take as not playing right now. And if that's the case, that does hurt the Nets' chances when it comes to offensive production because it doesn't leave much room for KD to move the ball around or to just have some space for himself to not have so many bodies on him. So for this one, it's crazy. It's still close. I honestly could see this going either way. They are going to be in Brooklyn, so you do have that factor for the home stand. But I just think Luca is that one guy who does not care whatsoever who he's playing, where he's playing, who his matchup is. He's going to come through every single game acting like it's the playoff series and that he's got ice in his veins. So give me the Doncic show tonight. I'm going to take the Mavericks. What about you?
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you. I think the Mavs have one of the few superstars who could go blow for blow with Kevin Durant. And I think there's just a lot of inactives on Brooklyn right now that is going to hinder them in this matchup. Dallas, one of the better defenses in the NBA. They got the supporting cast in this matchup. And they just beat one of the NBA's hottest teams on Sunday. They went into Boston, similar situation as this one, playing against a team with full confidence, and they beat them outright. So I can see that happening here. I understand why Dallas is a slight favorite. So yeah, I count on Dallas to yet again deliver another impressive W. And this is a team that I've been high on all season, but especially since the All-Star break, of a team that could be a dark horse in that Western Conference. They're playing great basketball right now. Luca looks like he's confident. Dinwiddie, that supporting cast is clicking. Yeah, Dallas, I think, is going to come away with another statement win tonight.
All right, we agree on that one too. Now, the one team that it might be Dallas's kryptonite, the Knicks. They were the one team that beat the Dallas by what, 30, 40 points a
Yeah, it's so
couple weeks
crazy.
ago. That was I have no words. That was wizardry. That was not human like. But they actually take on the Blazers tonight with a massive spread supporting themselves at minus 12 and a half. I know it's a tanking Blazers team, Luca, but are you gonna side with the Knicks here?
Yeah, you know what? The Knicks have no business being favored by this big of a spread. I was thinking about this one for a second. I'm like, am I really gonna lay 12 and a half with the New York Knicks? I'm not. For as bad as Portland has been, they've been losing games by 30. They've been losing games to good teams. In this matchup, I feel like the Knicks are just gonna let their fan base down and play down to their competition. I still expect the Knicks to win. If they don't win, that's gonna be just downright embarrassing. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I like Portland in this one is the Knicks defense isn't good. They surrender 34.4% on three-point shooting. And this is a team that just gives up a ton of points. They've been surrendering 107 points per game, and they allow teams to shoot 44.5% from the field, which is actually fifth worst in the league. So the Knicks, I feel like, will play down to their competition here. And for as many guys who are out for Portland, they will find a way to go to MSG, the bright lights. They'll be motivated, whoever is out there, and they will find a way to make this game close. So yeah, 12 and a half is way too many for me. I got to go with Portland in this backdoor cover spot.
So we're gonna have our first disagreement here. Actually, I'm gonna be a crazy person and go with the Knicks. I actually can
Wow.
completely see why the Blazers can cover this one too, because not because the Blazers are not the Blazers. They are a tanking team. They're missing so many guys right now, but just that it's the Knicks, and the Knicks have just been inconsistent. But in this matchup, I am going to go with them. The Blazers have lost 7 of their last 8 with one victory against the Wizards, but all their other opponents have been blowing them out like crazy by 30, 40 points. They are just way too injured right now, even for this inconsistent Knicks team, who do have a lot of offense in Barrett, Randall, Quincy, and Fournier when they want to bring it together. Like they did have those massive games against the Mavericks where, like I said, they blew them out by what, 30, 40 points, and then they lost by to the Nets only by 3 points. So that was also a big one for me where I was like, yeah, I know it's KD, I know it's the Nets, I know they didn't have Kyrie there, but to keep it within 3 against the Nets and keep it a competitive game is still a pretty good forte for going up against KD. So I think this one, it is big. It is the Knicks, it is the Blazers that could bring it up, but I think just the fact that they are so injured right now, they have no one on the roster really. This is where Knicks should be able to get a massive victory. If you can do it on Luca, you can do it on this Blazers squad. So please let me get this one win because I got to make up for that magic loss last night.
Yeah, the Knicks should dominate tonight. I mean, if they don't, then yeah, that just tells you
It's
how
sad.
their season has gone. Yeah, it's pretty sad if they don't dominate that matchup. So we'll see what happens there. But moving on now, we got Lakers taking on Minnesota. Minnesota favorites by 9. It's crazy because every time you would see these two teams in the past, the Lakers would own this matchup. And to see the Lakers this big of an underdog against the T-Wolves, crazy.
I know the Lakers have to rely on the play-in spot, and the T-Wolves are about to kill their playoff drought and make the playoffs with this big three. LeBron is questionable right now with a left knee soreness, so I'm going to go and say that that means that he's not going to be playing. And they're going up against a hot Wolves team who have won 8 of their last 9. And doing that without LeBron tonight is going to be everything. Even though he hasn't been LeBron James himself recently, you still need to have him on the court just for that mayor presence to scare the other team, right? You got to scare the younger guys, but not
Yeah.
having him there would be massive. Towns just dropped 60 points against the Spurs, and that is just such a solid team right now to look out for. Minnesota is in better shape. They have a better roster. They're actually about to make the playoffs, and LA will be playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, and they've been blown out twice in that span. I just like the Wolves here at home. I know it's a massive spread, but the Lakers are just not a team that you want to bet on right now. You mentioned the spread. It was what? They haven't covered 9 of their last or something like that.
Something crazy. Yeah, they haven't
Something
covered
like
too many games, put it that way.
there you go. You just know, but what it means is don't bet on the Lakers. They will make you lose your money and hate yourself. So go with the Wolves. What about you, Luca?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can pull it up now. Okay, yeah, there it is. So the Lakers are 0-10 against the spread in the
Oh,
first half.
wow.
So if you are betting halves, which I'm not that big of a degenerate to do, I would listen to that stat. But yeah, the Lakers have not. That means they have gotten off to a terrible start in all of these games, which it has
Yeah.
been evident, right? They've been blown out in mostly every game, it seems, since the All-Star break. Yeah, I'm going with Minnesota as well. Nor, I agree with you. You look at the Timberwolves, you mentioned it, Cats dropping 60. This big three's clicking. They're about to make the playoffs for the first time in a while. It's all good vibes in Minnesota. The complete opposite could be said about the Lakers right now. Timberwolves ranked number 15 in defensive rating since January 16th, 3 spots ahead of the Lakers. And offensively, Minnesota ranks number 2, while the Lakers are all the way down to number 25. So there's a huge discrepancy with both these teams
Wow.
in this matchup. Minnesota's going to win big. Give me the T-Wolves.
We love it. See, my team in the West doing big things against LeBron's team. Let's stick to the Western Conference. We have the Phoenix Suns taking on the Rockets with another big spread at -11.5. What do you think about this one?
I think anytime you see the Suns as a
Take it.
favorite, take it. The only caveat is when it's not against the Raptors. If it's against the Raptors, you take the Raptors. They've actually covered both those matchups, which is crazy. It speaks volumes to what the Raptors have been doing. But any other team, take Phoenix. It's not too big for me. They're on the road, yes, but they're taking on one of the worst teams in the NBA, worst team in the West. -11.5. I think they're going to cover. Aiden, Booker, Payne, such a great supporting cast. Bridges, expect all those guys to do a number in this matchup. And the Rockets, they have been awful, dreadful defensively. So they're going to give up a ton of points in this spot. Phoenix is coming off a blowout win over a Pelicans team that is much better than this Houston team. Phoenix is going to do it again. Give me the Suns, -11.5.
Yep, 100%, word for word. Here. I think this one too, I think it should be the Suns for sure. Will they win by 12? Yeah, I think so. They did not. They did play last night, but they blew out the Pelicans. And going into tonight, they have won 5 of their last 7 and 5 of their last 6 road games. They are just an offensive juggernaut, scoring more than 120 points and making 51% of those, whereas the Rockets have lost 6 of their last 8, and they're one of the worst defensive teams, like you mentioned, and they're actually giving up more than 120 points in the last 3 games. It just looks like it's going to be a nice Suns victory. The fellas will come out tonight and probably get rested in the second half. Give me the Suns.
All right, that was a quick one. We agree. Suns across the board. Go bet on the Suns right now. Next game, we got OKC taking on San Antonio. San Antonio, a gigantic favorite here. And the reason being, Shea is likely to miss this game. So are you going with the Spurs taking on an OKC team that who knows who they're going to be suiting up for this one?
So he's for sure missing? I thought he
Yeah,
was
so
like,
it is likely, and it like seeing the line being this big for San Antonio, it's probably like 90% he doesn't play, or else like there's no reason why San Antonio should be favored by this big. So yeah, I'm ruling him out as of now.
that's crazy. Because I did actually have OKC covering like a crazy person. But you
Oh,
know
you
what?
did you do your pick again? You took OKC. Oh man, that's gonna
Can
happen.
you
So
imagine?
that might happen to you 2 days in a row where you do like you're talking about your favorite pick of the day, right? Or no?
No. Like just to have them win this one. Not that. Oh my
Okay,
god. If I
true,
have them
true,
my
true.
favorite pick, and if I lose that one, Kevin's gonna have me fired. I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, Luca. You're gonna be next to Jelani. But
So
no.
from what I read, it's likely he's out. But yeah, go ahead. I'm not trying to steer
Okay.
you away from your pick
Give me
here.
2 seconds to think this. Okay, thought about it. I'm sticking to it. You know what? Screw it. I think OKC has been one of the better against the spread teams regardless throughout the entire season. I actually did have them winning, not winning, but just covering the spread, knowing that Shea might be playing. But even without him, I think that this is a San Antonio Spurs team that has been playing really well recently. They did go toe to toe with the Wolves recently, who did have Cat drop 60, and that was pretty much the only way that they could have lost to the Wolves that night. But I think that they might play down to San Antonio tonight. Sorry, they might play down to OKC tonight. I think they don't really have the experience when it comes to the veteran presence. They are still very much a younger team. They do have Pop there, who has been breaking records regardless. But I think that the OKC is just such a weaselly team. They can do so many little things every now and then, and I know they probably will lose this one, especially if Shea is not playing, which again, I thought he was going to play. But I think that they can still make it interesting enough against this Spurs team that might not have the experience and the veteran presence to be able to create a massive lead and be able to continue that lead throughout the very end. At the very least, I think that even if they have a lead, it could have been cut short by like garbage time bench guys. So I'm crazy. I'm going with OKC. What about you, Luca?
Yeah, I think I gave away my pick by my
Yeah, you
reaction to your
did.
pick. All I'm going to say is this. Yeah, you're brave because I think this will be a spot where San Antonio, a team that is never favored by this big of a margin, a
Yeah.
team that usually doesn't blow out their opposition, I think they will blow out OKC here. Shea being out changes everything. He carries like 90% of that workload right now with all those other guys being out. And despite the Spurs being 2-7 their last 9 games, which is a stat that benefits your pick, the Thunder, they just been getting hit hard by injuries. A lot of guys are out. They're 29th ranked with their defense. So I just think the Spurs will take advantage of a very vulnerable OKC team here. They're not going to take things lightly. They still got an outside shot at the play-in, especially with the Lakers continuing to fall. So yeah, the Spurs, give me them by minus 13.5. It's tough because like the Spurs never cover these spreads, but at the same time, I can't take OKC without
No, I
Shea. If
know.
we were playing 100%, I would have taken OKC, but as soon as I saw that report, I'm like, I might side with San Antonio as I'm doing here now. So yeah, give me the Spurs.
No, the second you said that, I was about to throw up. I'm like, seriously, Shea's not playing, and there's no way they're gonna win this. But I don't know. I'm taking one for the team. I'm gonna be a brave soldier today, and hopefully that pays off for me. But let's move on to the other game. We have got the Chicago Bulls taking on the Utah Jazz. Again, great matchups tonight. It's gonna be a great night in the NBA. But in this one, the Jazz are favored by 6 points. Luca, who's your team?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jazz in this spot. Chicago, they have not looked good recently, and they have not given you a reason to be optimistic about taking them on any bet. I mean, the Bulls have failed to cover the spread in 5 straight road games, and if that wasn't bad enough, they're 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games overall. They're amidst of a 3-game road trip, and they're traveling to one of the toughest places to play, one of the toughest environments in all of the NBA. That crowd gets rowdy every single matchup. It doesn't matter if it's a regular season game, preseason game, postseason game. Utah, that fan base always gets up on their feet for these games. So it's going to be a hostile environment for the Bulls. And the Jazz have actually won 9 of their last 10 home games. They're 41-21 as a favorite. Chicago is just 6-19 as an underdog. That doesn't bode well for the Bulls. Sorry, Chicago Bulls fans. I think it's going to be another bad beat here. So yeah, give me Utah at home -6. I think this is good value with them only being favored by 6 and not more.
Yeah, I think they probably agree with you actually, because neither team has been the poster child for consistency recently. But unfortunately, Bulls are in a way worse position than the Jazz here. They're already struggling on the road by failing to cover the spread in 5 straight, and they're 1 of 7 against the spread in their last 8 overall. And Utah is just, like you mentioned, a terrible place to play at, not just because it's Utah, but also because you have the altitude. And like you mentioned, you have that fan base that can just completely run you out the crowd any given night. And you mentioned it too. They have won 9 of their last 11 home games, and they're also 41-21. Chicago was 6 of 19. And yeah, they have experience on their side here. I think the playoff experience and this team has had the time to gel together. Unlike the Bulls, will be the factor here to get them over this hunch that they have been going through as well, just like the Bulls. But yeah, I think after that loss to the Kings, I just don't have a lot of faith in them right now. I think they need to really put together a solid performance against a massive team. Honestly, tonight would be the night to change that narrative, but I don't know if tonight will be the night for them. So I'm going to go with the
Yeah.
Jazz here, who are just the more experienced team.
All right, we agree with that one. And then next game, it's the game of the night. Boston, Golden State. Golden State, the slight favorite here, -2. This one is going to be a good one. And it sucks that these late games or these good games are on late. But yeah, who do you got in the spot?
I hope I'm awake for this one. I'm going to have to take coffee at like 7 p.m., but I'm going to do it because the Warriors are healthy. Now you have Clay back, you have Curry back, you have Draymond back. The big three is there now. They are playing like a championship level team, and they're just ready for the postseason. And Celtics also have been playing really good basketball. They've been like, I don't want to admit it, but they've been playing amazing. I think they had a month of February where they only lost 3 games the entire month, but
Yeah.
they've had Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown respectively going off on their own. Again, Marcus Smart adds such a nice touch, and having their coach there has just been the delight, being able to be adjusting as much as he could. But again, this is just the Warriors. The Warriors are the Warriors. They have a deep squad that can pull through weapons when it comes to offense or defense, no matter what. And I think it will just be a pretty tough battle for the Celtics to go up against a team that's number one in defensive efficiency, number 6 in most forced turnovers, and 8th when it comes to best rebounding average. And it's a low spread. It means that Vegas is telling you it's going to be a close game, a fun game. Stay up for this one if you can. Don't pop that melatonin. But I'm going to go with the Warriors at -3.5. What about you?
I'm going the other way. I'm going to go with
What?
Boston. Yeah, I thought about this one for a while. Great game. Warriors are healthy. They are at home, but I'm going to go with Boston. The reason being, the Celtics, they've been on an incredible run. I mean, their offense has played much better than their overall season-long stats of late. They're averaging 115.4 points over their last 11. They're 18-15 against the spread on the road. And if there's any team that can at least try to slow down Curry, it is this Boston team. They have actually had the Warriors number lately. The Warriors are just 2-7-1 against the spread in their last 10 matchups against Boston. So when I saw that and thinking about games that I watched in the past, I'm talking like dating back to when Kyrie was a Celtic. Yeah, the Boston usually plays Golden State tough. And I'm talking about Golden State teams that had Kevin Durant tough. So going into this matchup, Boston's been playing great overall. Their defense is solid. Their offense can match up here. And they're 16-3 straight up in their last 19 games. I think they're still pissed off that they blew that lead and lost to the Mavs. This is an opportunity for Boston to make a statement, go into Golden State and prove that they are, in fact, a dangerous dark horse type of team in the Eastern Conference. So, yeah, I wish I was getting a little bit more points in the spot, but I will go Boston. I would not be surprised if they win this game outright. So, yeah, give me the Celtics in a very good game.
I was going to say a -2 spread, and you're going with the Boston Celtics here. You are ballsy and brave, but honestly, Celtics defense, it could really go either way. They know exactly how to lock up those guys. But let's move on to another matchup tonight. We have got the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Kings, who just beat the Bulls. Crazy. But the Bucks here tonight are favored by -8.5. Who do you have for this one, Luca?
Yeah, you talk about good teams giving you good value. It's been this Kings team. They performed really well as an underdog, but I'm going to go with the Bucks in this spot. Milwaukee is one of the most prolific offensive teams in the NBA. They're ranking 3rd in offensive efficiency, and I don't think they're going to be slowed down by a Kings defense that's 28th in defensive efficiency. So a huge discrepancy right there. And Milwaukee, they have actually been a pretty safe bet against the spread lately. They have covered the spread in 5 of their last 6 games. So I'll put my faith in the Bucks here. I think they win big on the road against Sacramento. I'm not going to buy into that Kings win over the Bulls. I think that was just a bad spot for the Bulls. I think the Bucks will do a much better job in the same spot.
See, you're wise. You did not choose the magic route that I did. Because, yeah, honestly, I learned my lesson. Do not bet on the basement dwellers. They are in the basement for a reason. And it is a big spread here tonight. And the Kings did just kill the Bulls as underdogs. But I'm going to ride with the freak here as well. I think Bucks have been playing great basketball, playing like the defending champions, like you said, winning 6 of their last 7. And they do have the offense to match that defense as well. They rank 3rd in offensive efficiency. And then the Kings are 28th, like you mentioned, in defense. So that's not going to end well for them. And Bucks are just a great defensive team. So I see Kings having a hard time getting past that. But De'Aaron Fox could light it up a little bit. But I think regardless, Giannis will be the best player on the court tonight. He will show why he's the best player on the court. And that will completely show in that matchup. So give me the Bucks as well.
Yeah, it's called not drinking the Kool-Aid. You can ride with the team that's been covering lately like you did last night, and I've done it a ton this season, but then they come back to reality when they actually play a very competent basketball team. So, yeah, Milwaukee should be able to run all over Sacramento. We'll see, though, if both of us are right or wrong. And then in the final game of the night, it's another late one for us Raptors fans, but they are sticking to their LA trip, a place that Noor loves to visit a lot. I'm talking Raptors taking on the Clippers here. Raptors, not surprised. They are the slight favorite. They've won 4 straight on this West Coast trip. They're trying to make it a perfect 5-0 before they get back on the plane to return to Toronto for Friday. So, Noor, are they going to do it? Are they going to go 5-0?
Listen, I love the hot climate. Raptors love playing in the hot climate, and I don't blame them. You can see why, and they're killing that winning streak. They've been just on fire in this West Coast road trip. And to everyone's surprise, including myself, they beat the Suns and the Nuggets. And I think that they will continue that momentum tonight as well. Even without Fred in the lineup, which I think he should be playing maybe. But even without him, I think I like their chances against the Clippers team that's having crazy ups and downs. Raptors are chasing a playoff spot while the Clippers are trying to go through the play-in. And both teams play amazing defense, but I think Toronto here outmatches the Clippers when it comes to offensive production. They have a lot of pieces that they can rely on, and Pascal, Scotty, Gary Trent, Precious, and I think that will set them over the top against this Clippers team and just completely outmatch them. And yeah, this has been insane. I think the Raptors have just been on fire to everyone's surprise. This West Coast road trip is going perfectly, and I had no idea they could do that. I had no idea they could kill them, but I think it comes down to they just love the sun as well. So give me the Raptors. I think we kill this road trip tonight perfectly, and then we make it back home in time to host LeBron James on Friday. What about you?
Yeah, it's crazy. They love this hot climate, and rightfully so. I mean, everybody's sick of the cold here. It keeps on snowing when you think March is around the corner. It's not. Yeah, so Van Vliet is officially questionable for tonight. OG Delfo, we know he's not going to be playing. And then also Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. That's 59 minutes ago. But I expect these guys to play. And yeah, I'm going with the Raptors tonight. I think this is going to be a very good game, much closer than the last game. I think the Clippers are a more respectable team in that regard. They got a really good defense that could give the Raptors a ton of problems. But all in all, I got to go with the hot streak the Raptors are on right now. They're dominating both sides of the ball. They're looking like their best selves on this road trip. And how can you go against the Raptors right now? They just beat teams like the Nuggets and the Suns in a back-to-back. They do that to the Lakers. They beat a San Antonio Spurs team that's still in the play-in picture. Yeah, I mean, if Kawhi and George were playing tonight, definitely going with the Clippers. But Clippers got a lot of injuries. They're going to give the Raptors a lot of challenges here. It's not going to be an easy win, but I think the Raptors will prevail in the fourth quarter. And Siakam's probably going to have another big game. He loves playing on this West Coast trip more than anybody, it seems. So, yeah, give me the Raptors -1 to go 5-0, which is crazy to even say.
I know. I'm telling you, these guys love the sunshine, and we cannot blame them. They might make it perfect tonight, and we will see if our picks have come true. This has been an 11 or 12 game night. I can't even count anymore.
12.
The NBA. 11? Okay. Thanks, NBA.
12, 12,
Thanks,
12,
Luca.
12.
Oh, 12. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Luca. So it's been 12 game night tonight. We gave you our favorite picks for each and every matchup. Let us know if you agree, if you disagree, if you made money, if you lost money. We want to know it all, and we're sorry if we had caused that. But you know where to find us. All of our socials on at the Parlay, as well as Parlay TV. And we will be here every single day, myself, Noor, Zainab, and my co-host, Luca Rosano, at 3 p.m. for 3-point lines with your favorite picks for every single night. Take care.